Hello everyone, welcome to the Sly Cooper Wiki's YouTube channel. My name is Shrev, a bureaucrat of the Sly Cooper Wiki, and in our everlasting quest to know almost everything about the Sly Cooper series, we are starting what we're calling an unboxing series of each of the video games from all the regions: North America, Europe, Korea, and even Japan, in an effort to sort of bring that high quality footage to video, because sometimes pictures just won't do the trick. And in today's video, we're unboxing the first game of the Sly Cooper series, specifically the North American version, Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus. And what we have today in front is the original release, what I'm going to call the Black Label version, which released originally on September 23rd, 2002, as well as the Greatest Hits release, which I'll refer to as the Red Label due to the red Greatest Hits banner. This version released almost a year later on September 11th, 2003. And right off the bat, we're seeing some notable differences between the two games. For one thing, they have very different cover art. On the left, in the initial release, we have the classic Sly Cooper logo that we all know and love. And on the right, we have a more, I guess, sort of descriptive look of what the game actually is, with the character Sly Cooper, and that Sly Cooper insignia has been moved to the title of the game. Other than that, I mean, really the differences speak for themselves. Moving on to the spine of the game, we see that there's not very many differences here besides the Red Label shifting the title down a little bit, but other than that, they are extremely identical. The product ID is the same, SCUS 97198, so there's really not much of a difference there. Moving to the back, we see some more differences like we saw on the front cover. So putting that back into focus, remember on the left we have the Black Label version, whereas on the right we have the Red Label Greatest Hits version. And right off the bat, we're seeing very noticeable differences. On the Black Label, the initial release, we have more description of sort of what the game's about. Like, there's a new thief in town, spotlights, alarms, and infrared lasers, rooftop chases, narrow escapes, and dodging security guards, and a description of who Sly Cooper is. Sly Cooper, the notorious international thief, is out to reclaim what is rightfully his. Prepare to infiltrate the most secure places in the world. He's one cunning, devious Thievius Raccoonus. And then the last image caption: grabbing priceless jewels and emptying casinos. It's like taking candy from a baby. So that's sort of what we have on that initial release, sort of a description of, you know, who Sly Cooper is and what he sort of does. Notice that there's no really mention of Bentley or Murray. It's all about Sly Cooper in this one. On the Red Label version, remember this came out almost a year later, we see the same image captions, and I also should mention that these images you see, the screenshots, are identical between both versions, but we see the same image captions, but we also see these additional details from game review sites, such as from Animation Magazine, PSE2, and Play Magazine. And we also see an award that Sly Cooper got back in 2002, Game Character of the Year, from the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. So other than that, with regards to the cover, we're seeing pretty much identical things. We've also got the same identical UPC code or barcode, the same ESRB rating of everyone for mild violence, and the same fine print down here. And I'll mention this throughout the video, but we also have high quality scans of the jacket, the manual, and the disc, which I'll be covering shortly in this video, all in the description down below if you are interested in reading more details or looking more closely at what we have in front of us. Alright, so moving on to the inside of the game. So, just opening up quickly here. And at first glance, these seem, you know, fairly similar, but there are a few differences that I do want to point out. The first noticeable difference is the disc. So, the Black Label version of the disc has a slightly different artwork than the Red Label version. So we see Sly being sort of more in the shadows with an exposed grin, as he usually is, sort of leaping from a rooftop. Whereas on the Red Label right here, we see Sly in a similar pose, but that grin is less exposed and he's less out of the shadows. So there's definitely a difference between the two artworks, which I thought was actually pretty interesting, because I wasn't really expecting change in the disc artwork, but it turns out there is. Obviously, in terms of other differences, there's the Red Label on the Greatest Hits disc, but that's sort of to be expected. Otherwise, the fine print is identical. So really the only difference in the disc is the artwork change, similar to how that changes in the front cover. Moving on to the manual, we see that this is easily the least interesting part of the comparison here because they are identical. I scanned each of these pages and looked at them, and they are identical. The backs are identical, the front is identical, the pages are identical. There is really nothing to say about these manuals other than they are the exact same manual. So really nothing to talk about there. This came with my version of Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, but that's because I bought this version new, so whereas this one I bought used, so it didn't come with this card, though I'd imagine it would have, attached to the manual, most likely. So this isn't really too important, it was just a sort of a registration card. Other than that, though, with regards to the actual game itself, really the only differences are, as I mentioned before, the discs as well as the front and back covers. But at the end of the day, you are getting the same game, which I'll showcase a screenshot of the two builds shortly, but they are identical. It is kind of nice that this has a different artwork, and you don't really see that, especially with Greatest Hits covers, but it's there, and it's just kind of cool. Hey guys, just wanted to quickly transition to the contents of the disc if you were to put it in your PC and just show you the contents and what they look like. This is about as interesting as the manual comparison was, as both of the game's files are identical. There is no difference in the contents or the size. They are the same disc. So just wanted to throw that in there for the sake of completion, but that's what the disc looks like if you put it in your computer. And that's really about it for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Let us know what you'd like us to see compare next. We'll be doing this for all of the games, with all the regions, at least what I have access to, so you'll be seeing a lot more of these videos in the coming days and months probably. But as always, let us know what you'd like to see. If there's anything you want to see very quickly or in particular, please let us know in a comment down below. Until then, this has been Shrev64, Shrev of the Sly Cooper Wiki, your #1 resource for anything and everything Sly Cooper. See you in the next video. The manual is probably the least interesting part of the comparisons here because they are identical. I scanned every page of this and I read each and every page, and they are identical between both games. However, there is one minor difference. Is there one minor difference? Nope. There's no difference between the manuals. Okay.